I'm the Spanish Grammar Guy on Focus 15 Spanish, and I want to talk to you today about the difference between using the preterite tense and the imperfect tense in Spanish. Now, this is complicated for non-native speakers, and to be fair, for some native Spanish speakers. But let's break it down and give you some general rules that you can go by. As a rule of thumb, if you want to say what happened in the past, then use the preterite tense. For example, ayer fui a la casa de mi madre. Yesterday, I went to my mother's house. Single action, something that happened in the past. Another example. Hace 2 días jugué el fútbol con mis amigos. 2 days ago, I played football with my friends. Things that happened. If you want to say what was happening, what would happen, or what used to happen in the past, then use the imperfect. For example, yo volvía del cine cuando vi a María. I was coming back from the cinema when I saw Maria. So here you've got something that was happening. I was coming back from the cinema when I saw Maria. Single action, something that happened. Another example. Cuando era joven, jugaba el tenis todos los fines de semana. When I was young, I would play tennis every weekend. Something you would do all the time. Another one. Volví a la sala, pero ella ya no estaba. I went back to the living room, but she was no longer there, describing the fact that the person was not there. So let's do some more examples. And remember that when using the preterite, pretérito indefinido, if the time we're speaking in has ended, then the actions that took place then are put in the preterite tense. Let's compare this sentence here. I'll put up the Spanish with verbs in brackets, and let's see if you can put them into the correct version of the preterite or the imperfect. Let's take a look. ¿Cuándo estar ella en París durante 2 semanas? Nunca visitar a su amiga que vivir allí. Okay, put these into the correct version of the preterite or the imperfect. If you have to pause the video, fine, pause the video, and I'll put up the answer any second. Okay, so to explain this answer, the time, 2 weeks, has gone. Finished. So the first 2 verbs are in the preterite tense. But the last verb describes a continuous action. What was happening? So is in the imperfect tense. So what happened was cuando estuvo en París durante 2 semanas, nunca visitó. They're the things that happened or didn't happen. And the thing that is a description of a continuous action was vivía allí. Okay, so compare with this example now coming up. Cuando Antonio vivir en Madrid, lo que más le gustar fue el Retiro. Retiro is the main park in Madrid, el Parque Retiro. So, put the first 2 verbs, vivir, gustar, into the correct form of the preterite or the imperfect. Pause the video if you need to, think about them or write them down. Okay, so here comes the answer. Cuando Antonio vivía en Madrid, lo que más le gustaba fue el Retiro. Hope you got that right. So no time is mentioned here. It's just a description of Antonio was living in Madrid, what he was liking all the time while he was in Madrid was the park. So the first 2 verbs are in the imperfect tense. They describe where Antonio was living and what he continuously liked while he was there. Okay, So this next one might be a little easier. Okay. Pilar quería mucho a su marido hasta que éste la abandonar por otra. Okay, I've given you the first one here. Pilar loved her husband very much until he abandoned her for someone else. Okay, should be easier. Just put the verb abandonar into the correct form of the preterite or the imperfect. Yes, the answer is abandonó, because it was a single action completed in the past. That one should have been easier. Okay, here's an interesting one. El año pasado, ir in the nosotros form, al cine al menos 2 veces por semana. Okay, so here, last year, to go to the cinema at least twice a week. So here, yes, the time is mentioned. But what are we trying to say here? We're trying to say what we used to do during the time when we lived in that place last year. El año pasado. But we're using now the used to form. What we used to do last year. So the answer is, the answer is íbamos. Don't forget the accent. Because it's something we used to do all the time. Even though the time is mentioned, it's got to be in the imperfect tense because it's describing something we used to do. Okay, let's just do one more and then you can do some practice on your own. Ricardo no poder ir de vacaciones porque su madre está enferma. Okay, pause the video if you need to. And yes, the answers are podía and estaba, because both are descriptions of what was or was not happening in the past, but no specific time is mentioned. Okay, there is some explanation of the difference between the imperfect and the preterite, el imperfecto y el pretérito indefinido. If you're on the Focus 15 app, then do the practice exercises. Thank you for watching and see you soon.